Hello and welcome, my name is Bo and this is BoBeats. This is a channel about music production, and in today's video we're going to take a look at how to create sounds. So welcome to the first episode of Making Sounds with Bo. So I had some people asking for advice on how to create sounds, and I just wanted to get it out there first that I'm by no means a professional sound designer. I've been working with music and synthesizers for about 16, 17 years or something. But it's just the last couple of years that I've been really interested in creating my own patches and sounds. So this summer I got the Korg Minilogue, and I think this is a very interesting entry-level analog synthesizer. I also got the Sub 37 and the Electron analog keys. They're quite different in depth and versatility. I do like the Korg Minilogues, what you see is what you get kind of deal here. So what we have here on the Korg Minilogue is basically a 2 oscillator 4 voice analog synthesizer with digital controls. So what I mean by digital controls is that the parameters are saved with the patches. So you have sort of a modern control over the sound and how to save patches, but all the signal chain is analog. And you have two VCOs, which means voltage control oscillators. In order to make sense of what that means, you have to think about it like an analog synthesizer has electricity that shapes sound, and a digital has more binary, is ones and zeros, sort of super oversimplified. I also want to add, I'm not a technician, so don't come to me for the technical side of things. So basically you have the 2 oscillators, and you also have the normal sort of parameters. You have the amp envelope, I think and this is the filter envelope, and you have the LFOs, you have the normal filters, the cutoff, the resonance, and so on. And some noise. So it basically has the things you need in order to create some basic sounds. Now, we'll see where we end up in this video, but I think that I might not go so much into detail on how to use the sequencer and record changes, motion sequence changes. But we just want to add that with the Minilogue in particular, that's one of the things that you really have to do and have to try in order to really get the most out of it. But okay, so where do we start with the Korg Minilogue? Well, first off, we just have to pick a sort of initialized or empty patch. I think. No, this is. This is one of the patches I've made. Here's another one I made. Another one. And here's another one I made. In this patch you can really hear the filter envelope coming in. Oh yeah, here's a noise patch I made. It's really nice. You can see the waveform here. Really, it's super nerdy, but I think it looks really cool. It's not that seeing the waveform really helps you, but you can really get a feeling of how the sound is actually shaped. As you can hear, this is sort of a deep sound that we got going on now. And if we go to a higher octave, you can see the shape will be more sort of spread out. Because higher pitch means sort of shorter different distance between the curvature of the sound. But okay, so here's an initialized patch. And if we go to the Minilogue here, usually, and this is sort of the standard advice I'd give anybody who starts off with synthesis, is start with one oscillator. I know it's sort of boring when you come, for example, if you come from a VST world, but the thing is, we're so used to, at least coming from software side like I am, to having multiple different oscillators and a lot of options and super complex sounds that I sometimes think we kind of forget, like what's the base here of a sound, what's the basics, what's the fundament. The fundament is the one oscillator, and if you start off with one oscillator, we can just listen to it. We can bring in some resonance. Because I think you really need to learn how your synthesizer sound and where its strength lies. So here we have sort of initialized patch, and we can go somewhere from there. Based on my principle, as I just told you, with going from one oscillator, I'd start to think about what I want to do, and sometimes I just fiddle around, try to find something that I find inspiring, and other times I do have an idea, like I want to make a pad, I want to make this or this sound. We'll just, this is the first episode, let's just go in there and try to make something that we think is interesting, and see where we take it from there. And if you like this format, I can do more structured videos on it later. If I'm not totally mistaken, we have the saw here. We have triangle. We have the square. So this waveform is one I really like. And the Minilogue being having four voices means that you can play 4 notes at the same time. Or you can go duo, which means basically playing 2 notes at the same time, stacking the voices. Or unison mode, where you use the voices together. They're sort of, the images here are pretty good because it sort of shows you an image of what it actually does. So here's all the voices on one particular note. As you can hear, the voices is much broader. And if we use the cross modulation depth here, is sort of, you modulate, if I'm not mistaken, sort of the pitch between the different voices here. And the more you do it, the more spread out it becomes. But anyway, let's get back to it. So I'll just try to make some cool keyboard sounds that I can use or maybe arpeggiate for you guys. So I'll start off by using the shape button here. And as you can hear, the sound changes a bit. And I think I want to do something that's a bit plucky. I kind of like that. It's interesting sound. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lower the sustain and release of the sound a bit. And I lower as well, so I get sort of a click to it. As you can hear, if we increase the release, we get sort of this reverby feeling. From here I would think about it like this. Here we have I sort of pitched it up to the highest octave using the octave function here, because I think I want to look at this as a sort of the melodic content of the patch. One thing here with the resonance button here as well is that on the Minilogue, and this is different from different synthesizers, is that when you use the resonance button here, you lose sort of some of the body of the sound. If we can listen to it like this. I like this kind of plucky sound. We can try and add some noise as well. See, and we can also play with the filter envelope here. Now, because the sound is so short, using the filter envelope here doesn't really affect it all that much. But you sort of get the idea. So what I'd like to do now is I'd like to introduce a bit of the second oscillator here, and to see if I can make some cool body to this sound. So I'll try with putting it one octave below, and I will use, these are the mixer functions here, where you mix the noise and the two VCOs. We can also try and use the cross mod. For some crazy effects. But we can just add a little bit and introduce some ring modulation as well. We can also try and use the LFO here. Now it's a sort of a short sound, so I don't think we'll do all that much, but it's always fun to try it. So usually what I do, I'll just set it pretty high, and I usually start off with shape here. And we can try the cutoff as well. Usually when you go high enough, like max rate, you sort of get these kind of, you sort of detuned sort of effects, and the same goes for my Moog Sub 37 as well. So let's turn it down a little bit. Now, something I really like about using hardware synthesizers and starting off with one or two oscillators like this is that you really start to learn and listen more to the sound and to sort of the characteristics of the sounds. Because if we listen to this, this sounds a little bit more lively than if I would have no LFO on it. It's a little bit of LFO, or quite a great deal of LFO does something to the sound, really. Creates kind of a little bit of wobbly feeling to it. We can also try and add some delay. Now the Minilog's delay isn't really one of the better delays. It's, well, it's an acquired taste. I think it's kind of harsh, metallic, but it gives you an idea of what you could do if you used, say, a pedal instead. So let's. I usually go for the pre-filter here. We set the time and feedback. And now we can go back and use shape the sound a little bit more with the cutoff as well, and see if we. So, what I got going on here is using the Minilog through a TC Hall of Fame reverb, and it sounds like this. Now, what I'd like to do is I like to use the arpeggiator here, and I'd like to just show you what it can sound like when you arpeggiate this kind of sound. Also just lower the octave of the sounds here. And when we use the octave functions here, we sort of create more variation in the arpeggio, and also create sort of a more complex harmonics with more depth, as well as more higher notes in the mix. So yeah, and we can also try and shape the sort of the curve of the sound, or on the envelope of the sound, as we arpeggiate it. Using sort of LFO here and changing between shape and cutoff lets us really make different sounds. We can also change the waveform of the LFO. From a more sharp one to a softer, to a more squared or a digital or old school sounding. I'm not sure how to really phrase it. We can also go crazy and do the pitch. So this was the first episode of Making Sounds with Bo. Now, I'm not a professional sound creator or sound designer, but I do hope that my videos might be inspiring in some way, making you want to try out different things. And these tips I've given you today, or this way of creating sounds, can be used on many different synthesizers, and you just have to get into it. Now, if you want more technical videos where someone explains to you different parameters and exactly what they do and how they interact, I don't think I'm the kind of person to tell you that. I'm not very technical. I'm more of, I want to focus on the creative, using my listening experience, my ears, my feelings in order to create cool sounds. So if that's something you want, there are a lot of different resources, and I'll try to link some down below in the comment section. Now, if you like these videos, please consider slapping a like on it. Please consider subscribing. And if you have any questions, just, put a comment down below and I'll try to answer it. So I'll leave you with a little bit more of the arpeggiated sequence.